Earlier this month, I set out to read as many Christmas romances as I possibly could stomach. I'm filming this intro on Christmas morning, and I wanted to show you, these are all of the books that I ended up purchasing just to try to read before Christmas. And spoiler alert, I did not get to all of these, but follow along to see which ones I did end up reading. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season, spending it with people that you love. I'm so grateful that you're here. Okay, so I just made it to chapter 14 and Make the Season Bright, maybe halfway through, and I need to have this finished within the next few hours. I just finished work and I have a few hours before book club. I think I have a couple errands to run. I think I can listen to it on like 1.8x speed and power through the rest of it. So I won't spoil anything, but this is a second chance romance. Like, our main two characters are exes who have forced proximity this Christmas. And it's a dual POV, so we're learning while the current events of them being sort of like stuck in the same Christmas household are playing out. There's also the timeline of what's happening in the past. It's being unfolded and revealed to us. So if you've read this book, you know what the reveal is at halfway of why they have broken up. It's sort of been alluded to this whole time, and they finally explicitly tell you. And I'm not sure I'm gonna personally be able to get over the wrong that was wronged, if that makes sense. I'm sure our main characters will overcome it, but I personally, I don't know if I could. But we'll see. I'll report back and let you know. But currently, I love the vibes, I love the writing, all the side characters are cute, all of the like holiday antics are cute. The like, one of them loves Christmas and then one of them can't stand Christmas. really sweet. I really relate to Sloane, Lola, that character. I think she's so cool and I really love scenes from her perspective. I even really like the characters for the most part. I'm just having a really hard time getting over the wrong that was done, if that makes sense. Anyway, I have a ton of errands to run, including going to the post office the second week of December, which seems like it's gonna be a journey, so wish me luck. And in the process, I'll go ahead and switch to the audiobook, and I have to have this read within the next couple of hours. I don't think it'll take long. It's super easy, the chapters are short, it's flying by. And then after book club, I'm grabbing dinner with friends from book club, so let's get to it. Well, it's the next day. It's been a whole business day. It's been over 24 hours since I cracked open a book. Normally during the workday, I can read a little in the morning, maybe listen to an audiobook while I make lunch. But this is actually my busiest season at work, so I have just been logging on early and staying online late. But I'm itching to read something festive, and I think the next book that I'll be reading is Most Wonderful. Now, I actually have a pretty good sense of what this book is about, and let me show you why. Do you see how small the blurb on this book is? That is what I'm talking about. I need something that is short and grabs my attention. I don't want to read a whole book report about the book on the back of the book. So this is a queer holiday romance about 3 siblings who are reuniting at their mother's manor in the Catskills. And the only reference I have for the Catskills, the only thing I know about the Catskills, is what I learned from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Even though the cover is not as good as Make the Season Bright, I think and I hope I'm gonna like this one a lot more. So I'm gonna start this book tonight. In the meantime, I'm going to a holiday printmaking class at a local craft store in town. I think I'm gonna be learning how to carve a relief of a stamp that I can use for paper crafts, like gift cards and gift wrapping and tags. I'm not really sure, but this is the photo from the workshop. So if mine is a fraction of how pretty this is, I'll be thrilled. Then after that, I'm gonna come home, make dinner, and dive into Most Wonderful. Work is busy, the season is crazy, so I really wanna stop and savor the holiday festivities and really feel like I made the most of it despite how busy life is. So I'm really excited to just read more romance. Iconic. Let the countdown officially commence because it is now 6 days till Christmas. Some time has passed since I read Merry and Bright, Keep the Season Merry, Make the Season Merry, the Merriest Season. And I actually needed to take a break from all the Christmas and read All Fours by Miranda July. Love. Nothing to do with the holidays. But now, it's 6 days till Christmas. Did I mention that? The countdown has officially commenced, and I'm about halfway through Most Wonderful, which is unfortunate because I'm supposed to have this read in about an hour for my book club. Normally, I'm really good at making that deadline, but not this time. I'm still hoping one of these other books does the trick because I am not loving this. I'm about halfway through and it's sort of just fine. The three siblings are all so different. And listen, the middle child reminds me so deeply of Shay from the Sex and the City reboot. You know, Miranda's non-binary partner who's also a stand-up comedian. And you know how that character, they were like universally like dogpiled on? And the stand-up that was like written for their character was especially, man, I'm being too harsh. You know what I'm trying to say. This character, Birdie, the middle sister in this book, gives Shay energy. Like hardcore. And listen, it's not because I'm not a middle child sympathizer. I actually think it has nothing to do with the character's birth order. I think it's because this character is a stand-up comedian. And unfortunately, in books, when stand-up comedians are written, like you have to do it well or it's just not gonna land. And that means the author has to be genuinely able to write really funny comedy. Does that make sense? Like writing a character who's supposed to be funny means that the author has to be really funny. And I just don't think most authors, man, I'm being harsh. I just don't think most authors have those chops. And the other thing that I'm not loving about this book is that once a chapter, there's like a page long, like self-help diatribe. Like we haven't earned the emotional work that these characters are having shoved down their throat, if that makes sense. And there's three at once. So you have to keep track of three different people who are like having intense character growth while all of them is having some sort of like Barbie movie monologue about their respective blockage in their life. And I understand that that's a really effective tool in romance. And I tend to like really emotional romances that have really powerful character growth and mental health journeys. But the three at once is a lot. It also might just be me. Like I want to read a silly little Christmas book that gets me in the spirit while also being fun and cute and maybe a little steamy with some tension and some really delightful like Hallmark vibes but elevated with fun witty banter and lots of montages of festive holiday things. And this, despite the cover, doesn't have a lot of that so far. It's just some siblings in a mansion going on mental health journeys while also falling in love with people. It's a lot and it's not really hitting for me. But I'm only 60% of the way through. I am gonna go to this book club even though I haven't finished it yet, and I'm going to try not to let the group's opinions sway my feelings. Unless they feel the same way as me, I guess. And I think after I finish this one, hopefully later tonight, I'm gonna get to the Christmas Orphans Club because I've heard this one's good. And I'm kind of holding a candle that this one is going to be the winner. We'll see, I don't know. I also am just so behind on content. I think I just accidentally took a huge break. It was an intentional hiatus, but here I am. I took a hiatus. I filmed a witch reading vlog the first week of November, fully like 5 weeks ago, and I still haven't filmed my outro, so I think I'll do that tonight. I'm making salmon with orzo for dinner, so I think I'm gonna do that. And then at some point I'm gonna prepare a bunch of Christmas cookies because I'm doing a cookie swap and a book swap this weekend, and I have to go to a Friendsmas where I think it's a soup potluck, so I need to make some sort of a transportable soup. So it's gonna be a very festive, fun weekend, and hopefully I can read a lot of books because I only have 6 more days to read maybe 4 Christmas books, which is extreme. I'm really hoping that the thesis of this video is not that I dislike Christmas books. I really hope that. We'll see. Let's go. Now the end of the day on a Friday, which means it's 5 days from Christmas. I can already tell that I'm gonna like it more than the last 2. Fingers crossed. I ended up going to book club last night and then finishing Most Wonderful later that night, and then I started this one this morning. And And I don't think my thoughts are any different on Most Wonderful. In fact, I liked it less after all the conflict happened. And of course, like the timing of them all just being like back to back to back. It just wasn't for me. And it might be me. I just might be Scrooge. I just might be the Grinch. But I wasn't the only one who felt that way, which made me feel a little better. Just a lot of people pointed out a lot of things that I was like, man, this just didn't really work for me. Romance, feel like it's usually like the bar is pretty low and it's Christmassy, so it should be pretty chill, but instead I felt like I was reading a self-help book with Barbie monologues and like everyone's love interests giving them great big therapy advice, like huge breakthroughs about their trauma, like diagnosing them, and I was just not really into it. The main thing I liked about it was just like all the siblings hanging out and like the inner sibling dynamics. That's the main thing I did like about it that kept me reading it. This one looks like it's going to be very friend forward, just from what I can tell. And it's in New York City, which we love New York City in Christmas. It's a busy weekend ahead. We have a Friendsmas we're going to. There's also a book/cookie swap that I'm throwing on Sunday. So I'm doing this little craft at my little book brunch. I got these ornaments that I'm gonna print out a bunch of book covers from a bunch of book clubs that we all went to, and we can put them in here. And then I have little acrylic markers so people can decorate them with little snowflakes or like write the year or whatever. So I'm really excited about that. Nice and festive. That one has a dent in it. Oh well. Yeah, it should be a busy couple of days. Come along with me and hopefully I can read a whole bunch of Christmas books while also doing all of those other things. So anyway, yeah, here we go. Anyway, so I'll report back soon. In a sugary haze. I've been baking all day long. The good news is all day while I was baking and cleaning the house, I put in an audiobook and I finished the Christmas Orphans Club. And it was by far better than the other 2 Christmas books I read. I have determined that I'm the problem. I'm Christmas booked out. We watched Elf and I went to Friendsmas and I baked cookies. And I'm still feeling holly jolly and festive. Cindy Lou Who? Slay all day. But unfortunately, I don't think I have it in me to read one of the other 2 Christmas books that I've purchased. What did I say when I was getting rid of books? Like, I just don't need to own Christmas books, but yet I bought like 5. What was wrong with me? Also, minor crisis in that I peeked at my story graph, and it might be the first year of my life that romance is beating out fantasy. Fantasy's been my top genre for 31 years. What do you mean? Instead of picking up a fantasy, though, I decided to pick up Margo's Got Money Troubles, and I am 56 pages in, and I don't know what took me so long. This is incredible. It's perfect. Right off the bat, you are thrown into the perspective of a 20-year-old who is with child because she had an affair with her junior college professor. And she's decided to keep the baby, and that's where it picks up. So right off the bat, I love the writing style, the sort of the like peek into Margo's thoughts and her perspectives as she is a young person who's a baby. I do know at some point in this book, she turns to OnlyFans as an income source, so I'm really excited to see where it goes, and honestly, I fully anticipated to read 4 or 5 Christmas books, and maybe I just need a break and I can go back to either the Merriest Misters or the Nightmare Before Kissmas. There's still Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so there's a good chance I will finish this the next day and have it in me to read another Christmas book or 2, but I think I'd prefer to spend the last like 5 days of the year reading books that I'm really excited to, and I'm looking right now at my TBR, and it's wild. So, yeah. So I'll give you a little bit of insight into the cookie/book swap for tomorrow. I always put in an extra book just in case. I don't know, just in case someone forgets a book, or just in case someone doesn't like the book they ended up with. But I put in a 2 for the price of 1, those 2 novellas that I loved, big fan, and Hardly Strangers, because I was lucky enough to have extra copies of both, just because those seem like the perfect short books to read before the end of the year. And I also put in Red, White, what? No, that's not correct. I also put in This Is How You Lose the Time War, because I have 2 copies of that book. I love that book, but I don't need 2 copies, so one can find a new home. Tomorrow I also decided to make it a cookie exchange because Christmas, I don't know, so I made a couple batches of cookies so that we have enough cookies for everybody to leave with. If everybody comes with the same amount of cookies, you go and get 1 of each, and you leave with the same amount of cookies you came with, but it's 1 of every kind instead of all the same kind. I don't know, so fun. We'll see, hope it's fun. I'm so tired. Let's go to bed. Today was a huge success, but I'm so tired. It's time to take Margo, keep reading in bed. It is officially Christmas Eve, so 1 more day until Christmas. The countdown is about to come to a close, and I'm thrilled to report that the 4th Christmas romance, I'm loving it. A little over halfway through, and it's hitting all the right notes. It's my favorite one of the lot, by a lot so far. This is essentially The Holiday remixed. We follow 2 characters. There's Bee and there's Clover. One is from a small town in Ohio that is obsessed with Christmas, and the other is from San Francisco, so they swap. One goes to a charming little cottage in a small town, and the other goes to glam glitz, tech buzz, high-rise San Francisco. I think one of the reasons this is working so well for me is that it doesn't rely on Christmas. This could take place at any time of the year, and it would be wonderful. However, the cozy vibes are supreme, top-notch. And the romance is really sweet. One of them is falling for the other one's sister. So we've got also a queer remixing of the holiday storyline. and the other one is falling for like the small town hottie that was sort of like the childhood best friend of the other one. So again, very the holiday inspired. I think this one nails the slow burn romance, and I'm loving the alternating storylines between each perspective and loving like the swapping locations. And each of them are encountering something that is going to challenge and change them and force them to grow, and I'm just loving it. I'm really enjoying it. All of their friend dynamics and all of their character interpersonal relationships are really well done. So I'm happy to report that I'm probably going to finish this tonight and call it a wrap, call it the end of the Christmas readathon. 4 books. Each one that I read I liked slightly more than the last until this one. This one knocks them all out of the park. So I'm really glad I picked it up on a whim from one of my favorite bookstores. It was 25% off because it was Christmas Eve. I was like, fine, I'll force feed myself one more romance. And I'm so glad I did, because actually this is the winner. So yeah, right now I'm feeling like 4.5, 4 stars, easy. All in all, a really successful reading month so far. I just have to read 3 more books in the last 5 days of the month to hit my reading goal, which I only sort of kind of care about. A goal is just a goal, right? I'm gonna go ahead and finish this and then start planning all of my 2024 content wrapped. But anyway, happy Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. We made it. That's the video. I'm loving this. I'm so glad I found one that's winning. Thank you, Georgia. You saved Christmas. Christmas morning. Merry Christmas. We just woke up, had our coffee, opened our presents. Brady's building some Legos, and I just wanted to tell you about I'll Be Gone for Christmas. I ended up absolutely loving it. It was definitely the best of the 4. I particularly loved the sapphic romance in this one, but I loved them both. They were phenomenal. I absolutely thought this one was perfect. And I think this one stands really strong alone on its own. Like I said last night, I don't think this one relies on it being set during the holidays. I think that's convenient because it causes them to like not want to spend their Christmases with their respective hometowns or families. But truly, I think that this could hold up any time of the year if you wanted to read it any time of the year. And it could take place any time of the year. That being said, the like caroling and the Christmas vibes were top notch. I really love switching between the like glossy, sleek high-rise in San Francisco to a like cozy homestead cottage on a farm in Ohio. And ultimately, I'm so glad that I picked this up the day before yesterday and just decided to give one last Christmas book a go because I was really burnt out. And I think if I had just read the other 3 and not read this one, it would have left like a bad aftertaste in my mouth about Christmas romances. This counteracted that, and it makes me think like, this is so fun. I will definitely save these other Christmas books that I have in my stack for next year to do this again. I did a big unhaul of books a few months ago, and I think I distinctly remember myself saying like, who needs to keep Christmas books? But here I am with this stack of Christmas books, 4 of which are read, 3 of which are not. I think I alluded to all the other Christmas books on my list, but let me show you honorable mentions that didn't make the cut. These are the 3 that didn't make the cut, and I 100% will be saving them for next year. I'm absolutely excited to read them now and save them for 2025, so let me know if you read these and if you're like, absolutely, this was great, or add some to my list and I will absolutely give them a go in December of 2025. The first one is kind of cheating. It's Make Me a Mixtape. And I actually was supposed to read this in November for my TBR jar for November. More to come on that later. I actually started this one a couple weeks ago and made it like 30 pages in, and I was loving it. I was really hooked. I don't really know what happened. This is not a DNF, it's definitely just a pause for now. And the reason I say this one's kind of cheating is that this one covers like all the holidays. Like it starts in October and it goes October, November, December. So it goes Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and it follows that like last quarter of the year timeline. I'm kicking myself for not getting to it earlier or continuing it when I started it. I don't really know what happened, but I can tell that I'm really gonna like this one. So I'm definitely gonna save this one and come back to it because it's calling my name. The other one that I purchased specifically for this video is the Merriest Misters, and I've heard really good things about this one. This was like the hot new book this year. It just came out and everyone's been reading it and really liking it, and I kind of wanted in on that, but I didn't even crack the cover. I think this is the longest I've actually held this book. This was the next one on my list before I bought I'll Be Gone for Christmas, and I was like, just needed a break. I'm gonna save it and read it next year. I have no idea what it's about. It's too long of a blurb. I also have heard that this author's other non-Christmassy romances are really good, so maybe I'll be getting to those at some point. Specifically, I've heard really good things about You Had Me at Happy Hour. Last, I also picked up The Nightmare Before Kissmas. I'm guessing that this is a spin on The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I've never seen. I was told you don't have to see it in order to enjoy this book. I think it's like there's a Prince of Halloween and a Prince of Christmas, and mishaps and romance occur, and I've heard it's really fun and really delightful, and I guess I'll find out next year. Quick recap. I love the cover for Make the Season Bright. I read this for a romance book club and I didn't love the couple. I didn't root for them. The writing and the vibes and the banter was excellent. The Christmassy setting was wonderful, but I really was not rooting for this couple. I did not want them to end up together, which is a bummer. I really think both of them needed to just go to therapy and move on. I also don't think I personally could overcome the thing that made the second chance need to happen, if that makes sense. Let me go ahead and spoil what it is for those of you who are curious. If you don't want to spoil and you absolutely do want to check this out, just skip ahead until it's safe at this time. So yeah, go ahead, look away, see you in a second. The spoiler is that Brighton left Charlotte at the altar. Like, they were engaged, they were in love since they were teenagers, and Brighton got cold feet and freaked out about their future together for very reasonable reasons, don't get me wrong, but fully just abandoned Charlotte at the altar. I guess if you're like a huge Runaway Bride fan, that would work for you, but... And the kicker, the worst part, isn't even just that she left her at the altar. It's that she let 5 years go by before they were ever face to face again, and she could actually apologize. Like, sure, she called, she texted, but I don't care. Girl, you gotta knock on her door. You gotta show up at her work. Are you kidding me? Anyway, spoilers over. Welcome back. It's safe now. Now you know. I have seen this author's other books around, and because I really liked so many other elements of this story, besides the actual central romance, I think that I would 100% give her other books a shot. So let me know if you've read or loved any of her other romance novels. So then for another romance book club that I'm in, I read Most Wonderful, and I liked this one. It just had way too much going on. Not only were there 3 romances happening simultaneously, but 3 people were also undergoing like serious life stuff. All 3 of them were having like a pretty major crisis, and they were constantly getting advice from other people in their life on how to navigate that. The things I did love about it is the sibling dynamics were delightful. I really love reading books about siblings as an only child, and I also thought that the relationship between Violet and Liz was phenomenal. That was absolutely my favorite plotline. The other 2 siblings, hot mess. Totally hot mess express, which is fine. It just was like 3 people plus their relationship with their respective parents. It was just a lot of like mental health and people falling in love, and then people having conflict, and then people rekindling all at the same time. That being said, I would totally read more from this author, and I had a lot of fun reading it and discussing it at my book club, and I'm glad I read it. It just was like, too meh. romances in a row that made me think maybe I'm a Scrooge. Then I read The Christmas Orphans Club, which was absolutely delightful. It was definitely more friendship focused than it was romance focused, which was definitely the pivot I needed after those last two books. I really loved the New York at Christmas time setting, and the friendship dynamics were absolutely so well done. It was a little heavier than the rest of the books on this list, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just wasn't like holly jolly festive joy the whole time. Ultimately though, I ended up really liking this one. I do have a feeling it won't have as much staying power as other romances do in my brain, but that's okay. That's not what I was here for. And then of course, last but not least, I loved I'll Be Gone for Christmas, and I absolutely will read anything else that this author has written because this really worked for me. So that's it. Merry Christmas, y'all.